So no filter, just got a ton of Botox here and in my face. Brenda did a video for you guys so you can learn all the do's and don'ts for your Botox person. It was so informative, and she showed me where she did everything so you guys can have your person do it the same way if you like it. So those videos are going to be dropping, but I don't have the final results. It's only been like 2 hours, but already I see a difference. So can you imagine in a week what it's going to be like? So I cannot wait to show you. I haven't done my neck yet. We're going to wait on that. She didn't think it was a good idea to do that and the mandible. She wanted this to set a little before we do this. But so far, so good. Oh, so exciting. So I took befores and we'll be doing a proper after. Yay for you guys when it starts to kick in, really, like in a week. Now let's talk Real Housewives of New York. Season 14, episode 13, almost to the finale, which is next week. First, I want to start off with some gossip that dropped about Brynn Whitfield. We don't see her that much on this episode, except at the end where she's trying to egg Jessel on to basically tell Sai to F off for coming for her marriage and being in her business. But beyond that, we don't see her because she's got COVID or whatever. So here's the thing. Brynn Whitfield, it turns out, like 7 years ago, got evicted from her house in New York. Now, do I really care? No, but I capture all the gossip, so we might as well throw this in before the end of the season. Let me just show you real quick. I forgot to mention she also owes a lot of taxes. So Brynn Whitfield, when she was about 27 years old, rents a studio apartment in New York City and shares it with 2 other people. The rent is about $2,500 a month for this small studio apartment. A lot of people in that apartment. Anyway, she's sharing it with these 2 other people. They probably were paying $625 each, but at some point, I guess they can't make the rent, and she falls in arrears in 2014. And the landlord sues her for $7,000 in back rent. This is what The Sun reported based on the information that they found out in court documents in New York. It says, the Indiana native and 2 people she shared the property with, referred to in court docs as Jane and John Doe, were served an eviction notice in August of 2014. A lawyer for the landlord said in court docs that Whitfield, a communication professional, continued to be in possession of the premise without the permission of the petitioner landlord after the expiration of said term. The socialite was past due on rent for the months of July 2013, October, and November, and December of that year, according to court papers. Whitfield was in arrears on the delinquent balance according to January and February of 2014, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they end up evicting her. But what was more shocking, I think, than anything was that she owed state taxes to the tune of $30,000, which she still owes. And that was confirmed by Los Angeles. So it's not going to surprise you that these tax liens come out of the state of California and Los Angeles, because I told you she hasn't lived in New York in years, probably since her early 20s, as we find out from the New York eviction. The outstanding balance is as a result of a 2021 open state tax lien for $11,359 and a $16,487 lien by the IRS for 2019. I mean, not a big deal, is it really? She can pay that off now that she got her Bravo paycheck. So it'll be fine. But again, none of these women are who they are pretending to be for the show. She never said she was rich, but she's not a New Yorker like she's being made out to be. Just saying. I think she wasn't even staying in a real apartment she was renting in New York. I swear Bravo put her up somewhere. So as I do, I'm going to drop some gossip in between the recap, okay? To make it fair on everyone. All right, so first of all, the episode opens up and we're being reminded that Jessel was 40 minutes late to the lunch with Sai. And Sai was really pissed because she was like, why the hell are we doing this over lunch instead of a phone call? I didn't even want to go. Then you're 40 minutes late. Then you make me sit there and listen to you try to justify why you having a drunk alcoholic uncle is the same thing as my mom dying from alcoholism. And it's my mother who I went through the death with. And it wasn't just the day-to-day interaction with my mom, but it was me actually being there when she passed and having to make the decision about taking her off the life support. I mean, the whole thing, right? So basically, Sai's like, this is just unbelievable that you're trying to connect with me on this. As far as Jessel's concerned, she's just trying to connect with Sai in some way, in any way, because she can't. And Sai kind of gets this, but she resents the way she's approaching it. Now you're going to be like, God, they're coming for Jessel so hard. I don't get it. I told you, women on the show, when you're casted, if they sense something isn't true or someone is lying, it's like flies on SHIT. They resent it. They want to come for it. It's just the way it is. And as I mentioned, Jessel has misrepresented a lot of the facts that we're seeing on the show. And the women know it, or they figure it out. So they're trying to find ways on the show to call out how much of a liar Jessel actually is. Now, Jessel's been quite clever. She has definitely rallied a lot of the fans in her favor, okay? And I'm not sure if that's happening because of publicity connection she has, or whether it's happening naturally, just the fans feeling bad for the underdog, which seems to be Jessel. But it's odd to me, because anyone can go on a show and pretend. It takes real balls to be who you really are and show it to everyone and let them judge. So that's all I'm saying. Now, to be fair, Jessel could have called out this on Sai. So this is from BravoTV.com. I mean, the official Bravo website. It says, Sai De Silva's husband is David Craig. The pair married in a private ceremony on June 16, 2009. David manages their busy Brooklyn household so that she can run the digital empire she has forged. But then the fans found this from Ancestry.com. It shows David Craig married Sai on June 15, 2017, which would have been right around the time that Rio, her child, was born, which I do believe she said on the show that they got married when Rio was being born. So it's like strange because it appears like she keeps saying that she's been married for 14 years, but actually she was married in 2017. And that would make sense because Rio was born then. So she's maybe confused about the year she got married. Why would she lie about this? Well, this fan seems to think that they know. They said, Jessel, next time you see Sai, ask her about how she took her husband from his ex-wife and got knocked up while working at his bar. You didn't hear that from me, though. Why do I feel like Jessel's behind this somehow? Just saying. So this is what Sai said to Bryce Sanders. I'm going to play you a brief clip about this whole drama with Jessel.
Watching it all play out, do you see any of it differently?
No.
Okay.
Because I lived it. So what people are seeing is not necessarily all of what they know.
Nuances are missing.
Exactly. So, no, I don't see it differently.
I seriously am like so over this mean girl and it is mean girl
She labels you and Aaron mean girls because of all this. How do you feel about that label?
I'm definitely not a mean girl. I think that there should not be any confusion to being honest/mean. I think when people hear honesty, it really does hurt their feelings at the end of the day, and it could come off in a way where I am being mean, but I'm definitely not a mean girl.
Well, let's just hope the gossip that came out about Sai is just us being honest and not mean girls either. So we see a bunch of scenes with the women and little aspects of their day, etc. But one of them that was really touching was Sai with her mom's sister. Her auntie and her are cooking an authentic Puerto Rican meal together. And Sai breaks out a book that David put together of all of her mother's paintings that she did. And her mother was actually a very good painter. I really enjoyed the work that they showed on the show. And it was very touching. You could tell that her aunt was really crying. It was real emotion in the scene. I actually almost started crying myself. So it was a great moment. Good, bravo. So we see a lot of conversations happening about this lunch, and I'm not going to torture you with it. You know, do you side with Sai? Do you side with Jessel? Who do you feel bad for in this situation? Do you feel bad for Sai because Sai this really intimate story with everyone and Jessel had to make it somehow about her and her uncle and it's not really a comparable circumstance? Or do you feel that Jessel was just trying to connect and she's just being mistreated and bullied by the women? So this is the kind of conversations we keep having in the beginning of the show, and the women chime in, and it's pretty clear that Jenna and Aaron are siding with Sai. Brynn is siding with Jessel, and Uba is sort of siding with no one, and that's where it's kind of at. So then 3 of the women go to a place called Swingers, which is some sort of like miniature golf lounge bar. And it's the first time that Sai has seen Jessel since their awful lunch together, which Sai, by the way, just to remind you, kind of storms out of and says, like, I just don't care about you, Jessel, and leaves, and like your situation with your uncle, right? So it's a pretty awkward setup. Aaron gets there, Sai gets there. Sai's like, I don't care. I'm just going to make the most of tonight and try to get through it. And then Aaron breaks the news to Sai that Jessel's coming with her husband. And so Sai's like, okay, whatever. And then during this conversation of them waiting for Jessel to arrive, it comes up Pavit's weird trip that he's taking to Vietnam. And this is where it kind of goes off the rails because everybody starts calling out Jessel for lying and saying that Pavit had booked his trip to Vietnam. He was leaving. He was definitely going. You know, Pavit's story has always been that he's going to Vietnam to eat a sandwich. Okay? This is from the beginning of the season. And then in this episode, he changes that story. And now he's going to Vietnam because he was able to get 3 tickets for $900 each at different times. And he wants the mileage, and he's going to get to go first class, although the tickets were $900. Anyway, it's not adding up to anyone. If it's not adding up to you, that's normal. It doesn't make any goddamn sense in any universe. So it's obviously bullshit. So Sai and Jessel really get into it. Sai calls Jessel basically a liar, and Jessel is trying to say that she isn't a liar, and Sai cites that she said that the trip to Vietnam was booked, and now she's changing it that it's booked, but like he has to wait for the ticket to become available, and none of it's really adding up. So Sai's like, you're lying, and Jessel's like, no, I'm not. And then it becomes, I think, a real fight. I do believe that was a real fight. I want to give you guys some insight. I believe that Jessel thought that the fight with Sai was going to be about whether she lied about having sex with Pavit. And then I think she kind of got sideswiped because it became about the Vietnam trip and maybe him cheating and all this stuff. And she was sort of like not expecting it. And I don't think Pavit was expecting it. And I think they were really drunk when the fight actually happens, because it all looks like it's happening within just a minute of them getting there, but that's the edit. So I think they'd been there for a really long time. So every husband is then asked why he fell in love with his woman. And David says that he fell in love with Sai because she told him the truth. And that, you know, the trust and they made each other laugh was their thing. And then Abe said that the reason that him and Aaron were really good was lots of sex, and that they were, you know, good friends, and they like got each other, put up with each other's shit, something like that, right? Then the third person was Pavit. Pavit basically said that he kind of got to do whatever he wanted, but also he was good friends with Jessel, and that was important to him. And that's why he ended up with Jessel. And she's really laid back and lets him do whatever he feels like, whether it be go to strip clubs or whatever. And the women kind of got taken aback because he wasn't wearing his wedding band. Meanwhile, Uba spills the tea to Sai in the corner that she's dating some guy who's delicious with a 10-bedroom house. We later find out that she's still dating him and he lives in Connecticut. Want to bet he's from Greenwich? Allegedly, she doesn't want the women to know or to talk about it on the show at this time because she doesn't know if it's going to work out, and she's had a lot of relationships not work out, and she feels like she always gets everybody enrolled, and then she's got to tell them it's over, and it's kind of like draining. So she just wanted this to be her own energy where she controlled it. But the question is this the big secret that Brynn is going to call out on the season finale? So sadly and very disappointingly, I believe this is the secret that Brynn is going to blurt out in the finale. I think Sai tells her about Uba's secret guy, and it's said on the show, and Uba feels betrayed by Sai, who she told this secret to in confidence, and Brynn, makes Sai look like an a-hole because she said, Sai looks like she's betrayed Uba's trust, and the big secret's out. I think this is the secret that Brynn lets out of the bag that she's not supposed to, and that she says, Sai, you said it on camera, and Sai's like, no, I didn't. So I think that's it. Uba's boyfriend. That's the big secret. By the way, did you guys hear tonight Andy Cohen's guest call him a dirty old man? Can I just tell you, whoever this guy was that was on the show tonight on Watch What Happens Live, he's not going to be invited back anytime soon. Never call Andy Cohen a dirty old man. Old being the key word in that sentence. Dirty, no problem. All right, so we reconvene after this cluster of an evening. By the way, did you get that Swingers was a play on Aaron Leachy and Abe supposedly wanting to be swingers in the future? That definitely was a producer selection. So Brynn Whitfield and Jenna Lyons go to Jessel's house post this disastrous swingers evening, and they try to be an ear to Jessel. And Jessel basically is sitting there with Pavit. Pavit says, Sai is bipolar and she swings whatever way the wind blows. And she's one way 1 minute and another. And Brynn says, you better retract that. Wink, wink, like, you're on national TV calling Sai bipolar and she really isn't. And he goes, okay, I retract that statement, but you get what I mean. Brynn tries to fill in the blanks for Pavit and take it away, so maybe the edit won't show that. And then Jessel starts crying and just saying, I'm done. I feel bullied. This goes beyond this conversation. It's like you guys are all coming for me and making me feel like I've done something wrong and like my husband's cheating on me, and it's just like gone too far. And she starts to cry. And that's sort of where we end the show, with this moment. And Brynn saying, stand up for yourself. And Jenna Lyons kind of like, I don't know what to do. Get me off this show. Get me off. And on that note, I'm going to hit the sack. I feel like the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Angie K video did way under. Can you guys do me a favor and share that video? That was some serious tea. I can't get over it. How could people not watch that one? I mean, that was like directly from the streets, if you know what I mean. Winky, wink, wink. Good night, good day, and good afternoon.